afternoon, everyone. I hope you're still with us. Have you had your afternoon coffee yet? Hey, no. So, blockchain, the buzzword of 2017, has promised to disrupt every single business model. And it has promised to disrupt how we transact peer-to-peer, and it has promised to even disrupt government models. Has it delivered? Yeah, we don't think so. Now, the buzzword of 2019, tokenization. And everything is promised to be tokenized, everything is promised to be on blockchain, and everything is promised to be traded. World Economic Forum predicts that $12 trillion worth of assets will be tokenized and traded on blockchain within the next 5 years. So we have a wonderful people here. We have a panel of wonderful people here. Some are very bullish on tokenization, some are very skeptical. So let's just have some sort of a consensus at the end of this panel. Is tokenization the way to go? Is it all hype? Please, Sam, can I start with you? What is your view on tokenization and what benefits do you see? Very shortly, please, 5 minutes.
Okay, should I do a quick introduction? Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Sam Lee, pleasure to be here. I'm founder and CEO of ConStreet. We set up in 2017. Background of our group is a traditional investment bank for 25 years in Hong Kong. It's called BMI Group. We have taken over 100 company public IPO. So I want to give you some background. We are actually coming from traditional capital market background and being very bullish on STO. I think STO is underhyped.
Underhyped?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Brian,
Excellent.
please.
Yes, thank you for having me. Brian Foote, CEO of Block 30 Financial. We're out of California and also Wyoming. And we're bullish on tokenization as a marketing construct, as well as some of the underlying technology that could empower things like financial products that may hold tokenized baskets of other assets, like our Block 3 or our Block 5 products, which have multiple assets in one token. And then also for physical assets, even if it just breeds increased cooperation of the exchange of physical assets, exports, commodities, we think that tokenization has some interesting implications there.
So, mildly bullish?
Yes, mildly bullish.
Herbert, the Bitcoin Man.
Hi everyone, I'm Herbert Sim, the Bitcoin Man. So I was formerly the Global Operations Director at Huobi. And so back then I was also one of the lead guys launching Huobi token that raised 400 million in 13 seconds. And and many more, we have assist with other raises. Even at Cryptology, I've seen even more raises. So I do believe that ICO is not dead yet, against many popular belief right now in the market. In fact, just in May, there's this token called V-Dimension that raised 1.5 billion US dollars. And another token 2 months later raised 800 million US dollars in China itself. So if you're telling me that ICO is dead, possibly, but in those developed countries. But how about the developing ones, upcoming ones like even Vietnam okay, not developing, but like Turkey. These are places that are catching up very quickly within the crypto scene itself. And we've seen the likes of Binance that established themselves in Uganda, Zimbabwe, and eventually in Malta. So now the thing is, the whole crypto scene is evolving and adapting really quickly. And it's a very new thing that started in 2008, right? And now we are already in our 10th year. And so what we see is a little baby that's growing, developing tech-wise, financial-wise, and even economics. So I think now it's a really good timing, actually. Even if you're first time coming into the crypto scene, it's not too late. We're seeing even big giants like Facebook recently launching Libra. We're looking at China itself about to launch their own cryptocurrency. So yeah, just to sum it up quickly, tokenization, I'm pro. I'm pro.
Tokenization of assets,
yes.
But because all you talked about is
Yes.
tokens. You talked about utility tokens. So you are bullish on utility tokens.
Correct. So I have a lot more to go on, but
Okay.
I don't want to steal my other panelists'
Yes,
time.
that's great.
Yeah.
Austin, I know you have a lot to say about tokens and tokenization. Please.
Yeah, so blockchain is essentially like a meaningless term. It just means a chain of blocks. In 2008, white paper and Bitcoin launched in 2009. What was the revolutionary utility value add of Bitcoin is in that it's distributed nature, it's decentralized, not because that's a cool buzzword, it's decentralized for a means to an end, for censorship resistance, for non-confiscatability, which is a word invented just to describe Bitcoin because the concept was like so novel at pre-Bitcoin, because everything can be confiscated essentially very easily. It's revolutionary because it's censorship resistant. Absent those traits, there is no value add to blockchain, whether you're tokenizing some asset or not. And the reality is, if you're tokenizing some underlying asset, you need to have some. The reason why that has some value is because there's some legal jurisdiction somewhere that is ensuring legally that tie between that token, which is nothing. It doesn't even know. A token doesn't know that that underneath it, like Tether, it doesn't know that underneath it is existing U.S. dollars that are supposed to be tied to it. It's just floating around on that network. And if there's not some legal jurisdiction protecting the rights of that tokenization, then it's meaningless. And the technology that would have enabled that to happen had been around long before Bitcoin existed. The revolution, this is just like a simple database technology. Because you don't need it to be decentralized, because it's centralized, because somebody is controlling it. Just like with Tether, Bitfinex is controlling the underlying assets and all this. So it's all marketing. I mean, everything surrounding blockchain, surrounding tokenization, surrounding STOs. It's all marketing. It's all just what it all comes down to really is that somebody is trying to get you or others to part with their Bitcoin and to take their Bitcoin, right? They're saying, I have something better than Bitcoin. Give me your Bitcoin so I can send you some shitcoin, valueless token that I printed up myself. Don't give anybody your Bitcoin. Don't give anyone your Bitcoin. The revolution behind blockchain is Bitcoin. That is the value add. This is the rarest asset in human history. Nothing like Bitcoin has ever existed. This Bitcoin is rarer than gold. It's rarer than oil. Bitcoin is the rarest thing that humankind has ever encountered yet. It's rare outside of the realms of the physical world. The humanity hasn't even begun to grasp the concept of the rarity of Bitcoin. And you're going to give it to some scammer over the internet who's going to tell you he's got something even better to send you, that all of these things have crashed 99%, right? In Bitcoin terms. Everything is just, everything from the 2017 ICO era, it's all essentially at this point, nothing has delivered any value at all. Not the slightest bit of value. It's all just been the most, biggest multi-level marketing scam ecosystem in history. The only thing that's delivered any value is Bitcoin. The only thing that's functioning is Bitcoin.
Thank you, Austin. I think a lot of people agree with you. So to summarize, tokenization is overhyped. It's just a marketing construct where people try to take your Bitcoin away from you, right?
Well, I mean, there's nuance to it as we start examining the thing, but in the whole grand scheme of thing is, it's a scam until proven otherwise. If someone is trying to get you to part with your Bitcoin, you better operate under the assumption that it is a scam until proven otherwise, because...
Thank you, Austin. Aloysia, when we talked earlier, you mentioned that you are quite a fan of reverse tokenization or reverse token issuance. Can you talk about that, please?
Yeah, of course. So hi all. First of all, I'm a bit ashamed because I'm Italian and I feel like you have like much more, traction with the audience than I do. Anyway, I wear many hats in the industry, but I think the one that most fits here is that I'm Europe's #1 token model architect, which means that I am a strategist for disruptive innovation of usually existing business models that need to be renewed and stay to the pace with the upcoming disruption. And what that means, reverse tokenization, reverse ICOs, IOs, whatever, a reverse offering, is when a business model wants to integrate this, one of these new technologies. I mean, blockchain alone doesn't do anything, but blockchain, AI, IoT, and needs tokens, not even just to raise funds, but to incentivize certain behaviors, for examples, and for governance issues and so on, and generates tokens and offers tokens to the public. That's a reverse. That's reverse because you're not there just asking for funds. You're not going to steal anyone's funds. You can even not list your tokens and keep them internal. And that's what it is. So it's just something happening later on in time in the roadmap of the business. And that's something that my colleagues and I that run a consulting firm are working a lot with. And we have, daily requests from the incumbents, from the big players that sometimes want to innovate to ensure for themselves some competitive advantage, or that need to show that they're working on new technologies, even for governmental problems, because in their balance sheets they need to show that they're moving on, and that and they need to show that to their stakeholders as well. But aside from these problems, and from these drivers to innovation, the first one is that there are gaps. There are gaps, lots of gaps, maybe just in Italy because we're underdeveloped, no, just kidding. But there are gaps that no other technologies can fill in. And one of these technologies is blockchain. Blockchain is the real revolution, not Bitcoin.
Oh, okay. So blockchain is the real revolution, not Bitcoin. Okay. So to summarize,
I just get paid in Bitcoin. That's all.
To summarize, don't do that. Don't boo ladies. Just to summarize, you are bullish on tokenization, but for the existing businesses, for existing token models to bring in more value to the stakeholders and to the shareholders.
Yes.
Sam, let's come back to you and let's bring, let's match the energy from the other side. You've been in the traditional markets, you've been in investment banking. Your group has been doing traditional investment banking for over 25 years, right? And now you have a separate STO division that brings the securities, brings the assets, tokenizes it, and makes it tradable peer-to-peer on blockchain. Can you explain how did that evolution or happened? A traditional investment bank now suddenly getting into tokenized assets.
Well, first of all, it's a natural evolvement, right? It's a convergence between traditional capital market and financial industry with the technology, right, or fintech. Unfortunately, the tech start first. So I understand, many people, including myself, I lose money during ICO days. We have a lot of emotion, right? But what happened is we have to put down the baggage of ICO, tokens, and all that, but because it's not fair. If we're now talking about STO or digitized securities, it's not fair to compare your Apple stock with a Starbucks coupon. Why would you compare them? Right? Because literally ICO is pre-sale of product and services. It's a coupon, right? I don't want to get into why people giving up the Bitcoin for those tokens. I agree with you, hold on to your Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. But by the way, when we're doing digitized security offering, we don't accept Bitcoin. It's all fiat traditional capital market. We take US dollar, right? Or euro as well, right? And many other currency. So when we look at the digital securities, right? We are digitizing securities, but I actually like the word security tokens better, because digitizing securities is using the blockchain to improve the value chain, improve the productivities of existing securities, right? Which we have been dealing with for a long time, right? Like people ask whether it's legal to do STO. STO is just a private placement, which we have been doing for decades, right? We have been doing security sales for decades, right? But security tokens, on the other hand, we're talking about some non-existing securities product that we haven't seen in the traditional financial market, have a sense of new product development. So I actually like the word security tokens. So I think we're just starting.
And what are the benefits? What are the extra benefits you see? Because you said yourself, private placements are happening. People can buy any product in the world right now through their broker. So what are the extra benefits in having those security tokens, as you prefer, or tokenized securities? What's the benefit? What's the additional benefit?
Well, you know, we are here in Dubai, right across the IFC. I'm sure many financial experts in this room. We all know existing capital market industry have many inefficiency, right? Like we have, okay, the startup company, they go raise fund from VC and all that. Eventually, they want to IPO, right? But it's a huge journey. Many companies raise Series A, B, and C, and they're stuck. And they're not able to make it to the IPO because all the requirements are very high, over compliance, very expensive. I think STO can bring a very good alternative to fit this window to provide alternative funding to small and medium company for that growth run of fundings to get them to the IPO point. So our view is STO to IPO. And we can never replace IPO because IPO is another game playing the multiples, right? Like your revenue, you know, $1 become 10, and I don't necessarily believe that game. I think STO could be interesting because it directly invests in the asset, reflecting the asset, and a lot of undervalued asset and under liquidity good companies that not able to make it to IPO, but still good companies.
Yeah. And another thing that I like about tokenization is that liquidity discount, right? If you have an asset which is so liquid, the price of that asset carries a liquidity discount.
Yeah, that's right.
Arguably, if you tokenize that, you can reduce that liquidity discount or remove it altogether, or maybe even increase the value of the asset, make it more tradable. Brian, your platform seeks to list those projects on your platform, and we talked about the benefits. Now let's talk about the challenges or the difficulties.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking that question because that's kind of what we're running into right now. So I think, you know, just for us, like our philosophy is that anytime humanity encounters new technology, it's incumbent upon us to look at whether or not that has some use cases or not. And so a lot of our R&D work is around trying to take blockchain to see if there's some tokenized uses for it in the financial market. So to your point, things like price discovery, liquidity, arbitrage, right now we're working at figuring out, is blockchain or tokenization a smarter wrapper for financial products than its predecessors of mutual funds or ETFs, right? Like if you look at mutual funds and ETFs, there's nothing particularly novel about the technology underlyings. It's just a marketing construct for the customer to buy multiple assets in one click. And they've been the most successful financial product invention in human history. So we're looking at tokenization as an add-on on top of ETFs as a construct, and then thinking about whether or not there's some smart equity or smart token behavior that can be used to empower that wrapper to be a little bit smarter for the customer. So you start to think about things like decentralization, where markets are open 24/7. It's very hard to envision a mutual fund that can fulfill that reality. And so that's why we're looking at with our exchange-traded index products, our block ETX products, packaging assets, whatever they are, stocks, bonds, commodities, it doesn't matter. It's looking at the wrapper, and can that wrapper get a little bit smarter than the mutual fund or the ETF to begin to pull things like price data or arbitrage or liquidity or any of the other Oracle functionalities that one would need for their financial products to start having a brain. So we call it kind of the Nest thermostat moment of financial products because, as Sam wisely pointed out, like this stuff just hasn't updated for 30 or 40 years. And so that's kind of what we're looking at, and we don't know the answers yet, but we're playing with the market. Yeah.
So you just see it as a natural evolution.
It's a natural evolution, right? I mean, and so to be honest, like we're working on some Oracle functionality around smart tokens that hasn't been particularly efficient. Like we're working with Chainlink right now, and it's intensely expensive to go and do these data calls. If you say, okay, New York stock market shuts down, Asia's waking up, how does my financial product pull that data from multiple source points if we're in a 24/7 trading format, decentralized? Chainlink is really expensive per call. So we're trying to think about how we can help scale blockchain to have its inherent potential benefits meet the technology requirements that would be needed for it to be a reality. So that's kind of stuff we're working on.
You wanted to
absolutely agree. I just want to make one quick point, right? So if we add blockchain to everything you said, all of a sudden portfolio management become three-dimensional.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. That's how we feel as well. You know, it's just modernizing these constructs that have worked so far for the customer, but need to get out of file cabinets and into files, and trying to figure that out. And whether or not blockchain's the right tech, we don't know. It could scale up into AI or quantum or other applications, but right now that's what we're playing with. And we think, you know, if tokens can get smarter and more agile as a wrapper for other assets, then we got to look at the deal. Yeah.
Herbert, continuing with the subject of you being positive or optimistic on utility tokens, especially the utility tokens that you mentioned of exchanges, where do you see that going? What's the future?
Okay.
Surely the next exchange will not raise $500 million in 30 seconds, right? Or do you think it's still going to happen?
Okay, just very quickly adding on because I didn't finish earlier. So, okay, the thing is about utility tokens, it's already, so we've seen the whole entire wave from 2017 to 18 itself. And then came the second phase where STO is trending. And then now there's IEO as well. So now the thing is, it's just a natural progression of time, and we're seeing traditional boys being notified of this big wave of Bitcoin and like in the market. And right now we have guys like Sam Lee himself, like security. It's been there for decades. Yeah, STO, it's basically securities. And it's been there for decades now. It's just progression of time for the financial market to pick up with the crypto market. And that's where we see the crypto products, the offerings are changing over time. We're looking at ETFs, correct, Brian? And even for the Forex side, I was previously with Brockton Group. So these guys dabble with both Forex and bringing crypto CFD liquidity into the market. So now the thing is, Forex itself is 1,000 times bigger than Bitcoin or the entire crypto community combined. Yeah. So now the thing is, there's so much room for Bitcoin to grow. Okay. Now the thing is, I'm the Bitcoin man. I'm pro Bitcoin. But now the thing that being said is, there is still a lot of room to grow, and we need the traditional boys in the industry to understand that Bitcoin is here to stay, and it's definitely going to grow and become a power to be reckoned with. Yeah, but before that actually happens, the industry needs to develop, and we need the traditional finance guys to come in. And the only way that they can actually see themselves in here is when tokens are actually backed by something, and backed by securities. Yeah. So now the thing that being said, it is running in different silos itself, running concurrently from ICOs, IEO, STO, and more. Yeah. Over time, we're going to see this develop even further. I can't predict the future, but what I can say is Bitcoin is definitely here to stay, and it's definitely going to, a lot more ICOs also will appear. In fact, we are seeing more entrants into the industry from the likes of logistics, shipping, even the porn industry. Yeah, I just did a whole article on porn industry and gambling itself that actually
we will limit that discussion.
Okay, combines over 80 to 90% of the whole entire world's trading volume. Yeah, these are topics that, you know, the industry is shy to talk about it, but this is the blatant fact and truth out there. Okay, so now the thing is, as much as, okay, Alex might be very pro-Bitcoin, but I think exchanges need to have a more neutral standpoint, maybe you would beg to differ, on tokens itself, because we are talking about listing onto, like, example, Kraken and more.
So Austin, let's assume I'm not asking for your Bitcoin. Nobody's asking for anybody's Bitcoin. Let's assume we take this stand that the capital markets industry just need to modernize with time, right? And they want to use blockchain, they want to use tokens for whatever purposes to modernize themselves, to make the calls cheaper, to make it less efficient, to reduce the intermediaries and to make it more efficient. What would your stand be on that?
I mean, you can use blockchain because blockchain is basically like a meaningless term, right? You can have some kind of existing database infrastructure if you want. You can throw in some public key cryptography to timestamp it, and it's all. But the thing is, it's all run from the top up. You're saying that tokens need to be backed by something, by securities. Well, securities are backed by something. They're backed by the legal jurisdiction that they live in, right? That the securities issued in. The reason why the New York Stock Exchange and CME are not open 24/7 isn't because blockchain didn't exist yet and there wasn't some huge, it's because of the momentum, right? The only use case for blockchain is that it's got a buzzword that's caught so much fire that maybe the CTOs at these various firms actually like wake up and say, whoa, the momentum of our legacy infrastructure, maybe it needs some improvement. But when was the last time any of you guys handled a stock certificate, right? Never, right? These things are already digitized. The problems are not in that the blockchain didn't exist to get these added efficiencies. The problem is that there was incentive for these firms until it was pushed on them from outside to deliver these efficiencies. The only real the only real revolution in blockchain that could be delivered to these STOs is if you were to allow them to be bearer instruments, but that's never going to happen. You guys know that's never going to happen, right? The value out of Bitcoin and the blockchain is in the censorship resistance. It's in the decentralization, but that's never going to happen with these STOs because the legal jurisdictions that are protecting your shareholder rights by owning these STOs are never going to allow it to happen. Right? Maybe decades from now, if a new world order emerges and we have some sort of pushback from the kind of compliance first or KYC first mindset that pervades the global financial system, then maybe that could happen. But it's not happening anytime soon. And the blockchain is delivering no value add. Right? You issue these tokens on a blockchain, you're getting no value add except that somebody somewhere has a marketing buzzword to sell you on some security that otherwise you wouldn't buy because it wasn't exciting enough. Right? The CME is not open 24/7 because of that reason that it's not open 24/7 is not because these things aren't on blockchain. Right? I'm telling you that. And the other thing is that these things with utility tokens, the fundamental economics make no sense at the very base level, right? So what do? You deliver all of your future accounts receivable up front, right? Like it's crazy. You deliver all your futures account receivable up front, so you make sure you're never getting any other, and then you think that the people who you just gave all the money to, all their future accounts receivable for the full, because you have a utility token that is needed to access whatever product and service, that these people then have an incentive to build that product and service. You just gave them all the accounts receivables they're ever going to have for the next 20 years right up day one up front. No wonder not one of these ICOs has built anything, not a single product and service. And the ones that have, actually, if you want to know the ones that have actually built anything, which is barely anything, right? It's like, but the ones is because you had some bag holder after the founders ran away. You had some bag holder left with this like useless token. It's like, well, I better build up something so I can try to dump on the next loser, the next, retail guy. So I mean, none of it's worked. None of it's necessary in this. The value add of blockchain is in that no one can steal it from you, and this is why Bitcoin works, because Bitcoin doesn't need a legal jurisdiction telling it that you have some value, some rights. Everything is baked into the cake, right? It's all in the network. All the securities are in the network. All the assurances are in the network. There's no outside party that can come in and pervert the network. This is why Bitcoin has value. This is why blockchain has value, right? The value, the only product that has built on blockchain that has delivered value is Bitcoin.
Thank you, Austin.
Okay.
And
I have to add on here. I think Alexander might have been burned very badly by some shit coins.
I made a ton of money. What are you saying? I'm rich.
Because you seem very anti crypto in general.
okay, you heard it.
I'm not anti-crypto. I'm anti-scamming the retail public.
yes,
I'm
that's very good.
anti-fleecing the retail public.
Yep.
That's what I'm anti, because it gives Bitcoin a bad name. Bitcoin is probably the most important network technology that's ever been invented. It's one of the most important inventions in human history. I believe Bitcoin is a catalyst for an economic golden age that humanity has never seen. This is the rarest thing ever in human history. It is rarer than gold. It is rarer than any asset that's ever existed. People will realize, they will wake up and say, oh my God, there's only 21 million that ever be created. It doesn't matter what the price is. It doesn't matter how much energy human society devotes to getting more Bitcoin. There's only 21 million. This is nothing like anything has ever seen in human history. The value of Bitcoin, it's unimaginable. It's unimaginable. Bitcoin will come to be the reserve asset of the entire global financial system. But what is a roadblock, what is a speed bump in that that path to our inevitable, incredible future is all of these scammers and all of these people trying to steal from retail public with their ICOs and all their nonsense. So the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm more pro-crypto than anybody in history, right? I'm not trying to steal from anybody.
And we
just to add on
wholeheartedly
first.
agree with you. We wholeheartedly agree with you. The entire room agrees with you. Sam, you wanted to add something
Can I
on
just
the capital markets point.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, by the way, I agree everything you said about the tokens and the shitcoin, but what I have a different view on one point is I don't think blockchain is nothing, okay? Blockchain is an enabler. It's just like TCP/IP, internet, right? It's an enabler. You can say internet is nothing, but it's everything, right? It's only internet make many things possible. Another example, when we look at the videos, right? You can say the video codec. Nobody cares, right? There's MPEG-2, MPEG-4, H.264, 265. But that's the enabler. Of course, the key and the value is in Netflix. It's not in the codec, but codec make it happen. So with the blockchain, I think it creates possibilities for us to be creative and make a lot of new product development.
Aloisa, turn up the Italian energy and give us the future or your vision of what the future lies for tokens to be issued by existing companies. How are they to deliver more benefit to their stakeholders?
It's hard to speak now. Let's not speak about Bitcoin. That's something I'm trying to say till the beginning. Let's try to speak about the underlying technology. I do agree that blockchain itself is all and nothing. I believe in a future where we will see smart cities. That's something that really gets my hype on. Not Bitcoin, but Bitcoin will be part of it. But the thing is that I'm seeing that maybe in 10 years, we will live in smart cities where all aspects of citizenship are going to be governed by the disruptive technologies, by blockchain, integrated with AI, IoT, and 5G. They all need each other. And where we will see all the benefits being brought forth by blockchain, for example, being used not just on the financial markets, but in daily life. That's going to be mass adoption. That's going to be the real thing. And Bitcoin will be part of that. I'm against the shit tokens or shit coins as well. I even said in the beginning, we don't even need to list a token, for God's sake. But yeah, that's what I mean. We can just follow the curves, really. It's nothing. It's not a big revolution. I mean, it's a big revolution. It's just another revolution in human history. We discovered the wheel. We discovered fire. We are in nice buildings here in Dubai. It's my first time here. We discovered blockchain, and then something else will come, hopefully. Otherwise, we're going to be dead.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to add on to that, I mean, the reason we started Block 30 Financial was we saw a huge gap between never coiners, right? And then hardcore maximalists on the Bitcoin side. And there's just this huge chasm between those two markets that need to talk to each other. And so that's part of what we see too, is just kind of creating a hybrid approach where it's like, you know, Bitcoin's super interesting. It's amazing. I agree with Austin on everything he said. But you also have this sort of capital markets infrastructure that is not going to come undone tomorrow. So I think there's a need to create a mid-market conversation that passes through that handoff intelligently as we move forward. Because, you know, I agree too. I mean, just because we have a debt crisis, there's no question, particularly in the United States, right? We're at peak equity prices, we're at peak debt loads, we're at peak housing prices. And so millennials and ongoing are kind of going, where do I fit into this economic mix? And what is the standard for currencies ongoing? And so I think we need to navigate that shift if it does end up being Bitcoin or, you know, tokenized fiat currencies. We need to navigate that shift to make sure that there's stability as that moves forward. So.
Yeah, I totally agree, Brian, there. You know, like for Bitcoin to grow, there needs to be actually new developments in the industry, and that's where new ICOs came about. People like Ethereum, they're doing great work. Even the likes of the godfather of decentralization, BitTorrent itself, Bram Cohen. So now the thing is, he even developed his own token called Sia Coin. yeah, which is the guy that invented the proof of space and time. So what I'm saying is the industry is developing as we go along. Bitcoin is great, good, but now the thing is, the vision of Satoshi Nakamoto, if you go and read the entire white paper, he talks about how these blocks have to be developed further, bigger slices of block, to increase the transaction for each block.
No, he doesn't.
Okay, so now the thing is, the likes of Bitcoin Cash, Roger Ver came about and started his own fork, which increases each block size. And now the thing is, okay, as we go along, more and more ICOs are developing their tech, but it's very, very infant stage still, and that's why we are looking at it as shitcoins. But there are some good ones, and there are some outright out to scam.
Look, it's good that there's open markets. I believe in economic freedom and the like. So it's good that these markets exist and you can have these various technologies. But Bitcoin doesn't need ICO scams to grow. Well, Bitcoin will grow just because of the novelty of its existence. The fact that 99% of humanity doesn't grasp yet the fundamental shift that is the invention of Bitcoin and the global macro environment. We're in a cheap, easy credit mode for a decade on. Things are looking very precarious, and Bitcoin is the opt-out. It is the solution. But all of the, we can go into these various points of these various coins and the details of their protocol infrastructure, whatever. But the reality is, it's the key of blockchain is in the decentralization, and nothing even comes close. Nothing exists is in the same league, in the same realm as Bitcoin, and, whether it's technical or social centralization, Bitcoin Cash and the rest, they're all centralized. Somebody can take your money, somebody can destroy the network. With Bitcoin, it is the only, and it has tremendous, it's tremendously unproven, it has tremendous vulnerabilities, but it's the only thing that even is fathomably decentralized, is even potentially decentralized, and that is the only value add of blockchain, period. Nothing, everything else is somebody trying to sell you some snake oil and trying to get something from you.
Thank you. Now, the audience has heard what you all have to say. Let's now listen to the audience. Make some noise if you think STOs, security tokens, improvement of capital markets is the way to go. Make some noise.
Who's going to say, no, let's not improve capital markets? No.
Now, make some noise if you think utility tokens and there's still some future for ICOs. Woo! Now, make some noise if you think Bitcoin is the future and this is where it's all headed.
Woo! Bitcoin.
Now, make some noise if you think existing companies, incumbents, should introduce tokens in their ecosystem in order to improve transactional, I don't know what, value to the shareholders and to bring more value to the whole company.
I just want to make one note, right? There's no conflict between asset tokenization and Bitcoin. Right, I love Bitcoin.
Absolutely
I just want to
not.
get it clear, right? But it's
Absolutely
also
not. There is a space for everything to exist,
There's
right?
no conflict if you're transparent with the value add that you're bringing. You talk about the gap between some mid-level fundraising and IPO. Well, that gap doesn't exist because of some technological deficiency. That gap exists because of the nature of capital markets legislation and the various jurisdictions that implement these rules. I mean, one of the main causes of that is accredited investor laws and the fact that that the vast majority of the population of Earth is carved out from being able to participate in private capital markets altogether. That's the main cause. It's not because blockchain doesn't exist.
So Sam, yes, absolutely, you're right. All of these 3, 4, 5 things that we have just named can coexist and are coexisting. I invest in security tokens, but I also have some Bitcoin, right? It's not one or another. So shall we take a couple of questions from the audience? I see a lot of hands. Ahmed already has a microphone. Look at you.
I already have a microphone. Austin, I have a question for you. Would you say you're more Bitcoin than the Bitcoin man?
No, I don't know. I don't want to make any like personal assessments or anything. He's a nice guy, probably. I don't know. Nice enough to me. But I mean, but I'm very long Bitcoin. You know, I try to be realistic and say, and there are questions and there are potential reasons why Bitcoin may fail, and there's aspects that are unproven in terms of the robustness of the protocol to maintain its decentralization and its and avoid attack, and we can discuss those. But I'm very long Bitcoin. I think the reality is the vast majority of people on Earth haven't fully grasped the profundity of Bitcoin. The craziest thing to me is just that this is the first thing to be rare outside of the laws of physics, and that rarity, I think, and the fact that it's weightless, it teleports, it's incredible, and it will become, I believe, absent some existential disaster, it will be, and which is priced into the market today, I'm sure, is the reason why Bitcoin's not already at $1 million a piece, but it will become likely the backing of the global financial system, the reserve asset of the world, but it will take many decades.
So the answer is yes, Ahmed. Next, please.
Yeah, hi guys. Two questions actually, one for you, Austin, and one for Herbert. Austin, what gives you so much confidence to think that the global political establishment would not ban the effort and the adventure of Bitcoin?
That surely...
Sorry, let me finish. Then the other one is for Herbert. What do you think, Herbert, should be done in order to encourage the traditional player to come into the blockchain?
So for point number one, I mean, it's completely possible, but the reality is that the global political establishment is not homogeneous, and the nature of this, it's like a giant game of it's an exercise of geopolitical game theory, like a prisoner's dilemma amongst nation states almost, and just like any cartel, all you need is one or two participants to break ranks, and they receive tremendous dividends from breaking ranks, just like of any cartel. And so the reality is that Bitcoin's not, if we assume, we can talk about the technical aspect, the technical vulnerabilities maybe separately, but assuming that Bitcoin doesn't go away, it continues every 10 minutes, ticking along, a new block discovered, eventually it's going to become very difficult and very expensive. And this may be decades, like the geopolitical establishment, at least certain blocks of it, they can put a speed bump in place, but it's just, they can make it difficult or slow down the process of adoption, but the reality is this is the least bannable thing ever. It's invisible, it's weightless, you can store it in your brain. It's much harder to ban than any drug that's ever existed. It's much harder it's phenomenally more difficult to ban or control than gold is, and you've seen the difficulties surrounding, for millennia, surrounding geopolitical or jurisdictions trying to clamp down on gold hoarding, gold savings, gold transportation, and the like. I forget the second part.
And the second part was for the Bitcoin Man.
So very quickly, that's a very good question there. It's spot on. Talking about how Bitcoin can actually go mainstream. So if for real Bitcoin fans out there, what you want to do is see Bitcoin grow as a baby. You want to equip it with more tools and more technology itself, right? Like what Eloisa said earlier, you have to combine AI, smart cities, and more. So now the thing is, for it to grow, that's why we have new entrants of ICOs, STO, traditional boys coming into the market. We're looking about Bitcoin entering into the Forex side of things. I shared that it's 1,000 times bigger. So Bitcoin has much room to grow, and the only way to do it is to bring new entrants into the market. So we spoke earlier, you are bringing a new niche to the market, which is healthcare itself, right? So now the thing is, we're looking at more people entering the market from DentaCoin. We're talking about dentists using blockchain on like the industry itself. So now the thing is, we need more people to join for Bitcoin to grow.
But do you think DentaCoin will help Bitcoin to grow?
Okay, so now the thing is, DentaCoin, what it helps is actually it puts all the health records on one centralized blockchain.
DentaCoin is nonsense, scam. Period.
Okay, so this is just one of the examples that I brought up. So the thing now is, in the market out there, there are actually many much more.
Okay, so basically
This is buzzword bingo, that you heard just now. Bitcoin doesn't, I don't know what the hell he's talking about, AI, smart cities. What Bitcoin needs is time and security, and every day it gets more, there's a longer time that Bitcoin's existed. It hasn't been stopped. It hasn't had any security flaws.
Be nice, we're all friends
can I just
here.
share one comment on Bitcoin?
The financialization of Bitcoin's already begun. You look CME, New York Stock Exchange, they're trading Bitcoin. It's happening. It's already happening. And it's not because of DentaCoin or a bunch of scammers trying to steal Bitcoin. This is an impediment to Bitcoin adoption.
Well, I just want to respond, adding to that question, like how to get Bitcoin in mainstream, right? We talk about Bitcoin. I share my view real quick, okay? I think Bitcoin is nothing and it's everything, right? Because it doesn't tie into any application, any, like special utilities or gas. It's just Bitcoin. It's pure, right? Like you look at Ethereum, that could be a better Ethereum. You look at other, right? And then the only need is whether we have the need, anyone have the need to store your wealth outside of the traditional, outdated, inefficient banking system. If you have that need, you need Bitcoin.
Every single one of the panelists is sticking around. You want to hear more about Bitcoin? Come and find Austin. You want to hear about security tokens? Come and find everybody else. Thank you so much. Please
Thank you
the
very much.
panelists, thank the passion.